Martin, get ready as Caliboom Events brings to you Waluigi Festival 2023.
St. Martin Best Weekend.
It all goes down on Saturday, August 5th at the Festival Village, featuring the return
of the King of Soca,
Marshall Montano.
Marshall Montano.
Along with the Queen of Dancehall, Spice.
Me know me good. Have me body does a wine and
Spice.
I'm in a romantic mood. I'm talking to you.
Also on stage, King James,
Magic X,
the Black Creator DJ Outkast,
DJ Big Boss,
and DJ King Kevin. Get your tickets now on the K-Band app,
the Caliboom headquarters,
Tech Hub,
Levi's in Marigo,
Digicel in Hope Estate,
exclusive clothing in Marigo,
and the promo card.
But wait,
right after this mega concert,
we go straight into Juve at 4 a.m.
So don't wait.
Get your splash kits now.
You must have your shirts to get your drinks
and access to the Juve after party.
Get your tickets now and make sure you're there. It's Waluigi Festival 2023.
St. Martin Best Weekend.
Powered by the St. Martin Tourism Office,
Dibico,
Air Caribe,
the St. Martin Tourist Bureau,
Digicel in Hope Estate, and Hennessy.
I'm still in shock, I can't understand. I am so disappointed in man. Man make me cry, tears run from my eye. All I could ask was the reason why. Was man fighting power, he fighting greed. Oh, kid, man making blunders for selfish need. Man gon' call you brother, but man so slack. Say man with a dagger, stabbing your back. I'm mesmerized, shocker, still in dismay. Look how they treat me in the folk fair the other day. Chucky was thunder, Chucky was tough. Chucky was power, Chucky was rough. But politician respected this Calypsonian, who always seemed to look out for the poor man. But since Daphne Philip brainwashed the brother and make Chucky director of culture, since he got big position, he start moving strange. It's amazing how people could change. As they get in power, their plans rearrange. It's amazing how people could change. You have to agree. It's lies we're on in this whole country. Look how Chucky boil right down like Baji. Lies we're on in this whole country.
To all my fans in St. Martin, Saint Martin, Mabvini, don't forget, Kai will be in St. Martin exactly on August 4th. Le 4 août, Cap Saint Martin, Martin Frantico, grand ticket de bonheur, nous allons faire une grosse fête, une belle fête, prendre plaisir nous, net, jusqu'à ce que nous ne soyons pas capables.
I'm still in shock, I can't understand. I am so disappointed in man. Man make me cry, tears run from my eye. All I could ask was the reason why. Was man fighting power, he fighting greed. Oh, kid, man making blunders for self.
The Late Night Summer Tour continues, and of course, I am at the historic adult toy box in Simpson Bay. Welcome to the show. Oh, that feels good. Of course, today we have a lot in store for you. Let me tell you all about what's happening in St. Martin. Wait, one more. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so feel like them politicians now. All right, so today on the show we have to talk about the situation of the Council of Ministers press briefing. They had a long Council of Ministers press briefing. The ministers were there, happy to see the members of the press. As usual, they had the long faces and were ready not to answer questions, but to just spew their agenda. It's almost as if I wanted to get them a gift from here, from Adult Toy Box in Simpson Bay and in Point Blanche, so that they can go and okay, Point Blanche closed, so only Simpson Bay. But you know where it is in Simpson Bay. Don't act like you don't know. Don't act like you don't know. Just go get a pizza and then back and say that you won't get a pizza and then you just jump the wall. Jump the wall. Yeah, I know. All right. Anyway. Now, the Council of Ministers press briefing highlights. Let me get into it. Let me get you the highlights of it, and then we come back after that.
Since I already had some questions already before the press briefing started, I'll start with the press matters, which is the Bear and Point situation. First of all, I'd like to state that the Bearing Point matter is an ongoing dispute and as such not opportune to make any detailed comments at this time. However, after considering the recent publications in the media and the inquiries that followed, I have decided to provide a brief synopsis of the recent events. It is important to understand that Bearing Point never initiated proceedings on the merits, but only an injunction proceeding, which do not give a final judgment, but only a provisional judgment. Bearing Point recently filed an injunction procedure against government. In their request, they were seeking a judge order to, among other things, force government to cancel the tender for an ICT system and to force government to adjust a subsequent retender. The judge ordered Country St. Martin, by way of said injunction procedure, to pay Bearing Point a Vorscut of 1 million guilders. The government has complied with this provisional verdict and is considering its options. As stated before, these are not final judgments, as final judgments are based on the proceedings on the merits. As the litigation may follow, there is nothing more to comment at this time other than while government complied with the court's ruling, government is still considering their legal options. In addition to that, I also saw from Member of Parliament regarding the same matters, and I would like to state that I do agree with the MP that, and I hope that it comes to no surprise when the rightful persons are held accountable.
Next point I want to update on is I think this was heavily discussed in press briefing and all here, where last year structure was demolished in the Simpson Bay area. I want to give update to the general public. We did have a court ruling last week where the judge basically ruled that Mr. Rolox and his partner was wrong for how they conducted. The inspection department did a detailed elaboration on how they gave warnings, verbal, written, and ultimately had to do the ultimate thing, which we try to avoid as much as possible, which is removal. The message I want to send out is that at the end of the day, you know, the inspectors, they do their jobs. And I always say, you know, I'm the one that signed up to be in the political arena and in the executive branch or legislative branch for that matter. So you can, you know, try to attack ministers, but when you attack staff, I have a little problem with that. So I just want to let the public know that government won the case. They have to pay all court fees and they were wrong on all grounds. Message to the public, please adhere to the rules and regulations to make, you know, the life of the ministry as well as yours much easier. At the end of the day, we are not in the business of stopping progress. We want progress, but everything has to be done in the right way. Lastly, I would like to update the general public in regards to the hurricane cleanup schedule that we are being publishing over the last couple of weeks. Please pay attention to them so you can get rid of your bulk waste and different things. With that being said, I conclude my opening remarks and I look forward to any questions from the media. Thank you.
In other good news, the Department of Communication of the Government of St. Martin, that we've owned and operated stmartingov.org website since July of 2010. Since its inception, the website has experienced 2 overhauls, one in 2014 and another in 2018. So we are very proud to be announcing that the newest iteration of the website will be launched on Monday, July 31st, 2023. This website promises to be a more service-oriented. We've listened to our community stakeholders, the end users, and taken all of the suggestions into account. We, as a Council of Ministers, had a preview of it in our council meeting yesterday, and the department, together with our ICT department, will continue to finalize all the last necessary steps to be able to launch on Monday, God's willing. We're very, very proud of this achievement within the Ministry of General Affairs. This will allow people to make appointments via the respective service offering that feature or apply for certain services via the website too. So you'll be able to do it via the Ministry Direct or via the general website itself. So the services can be searched, found per ministry or by the end user, whether you're a resident, a student, a visitor, or a business. So it specifies specific for the type of resident or user as well. We're also offering an improved user experience, modern design, and mobile friendly. So it's completely adaptable to your mobiles, which most people use today. The website can be also read in various languages. in the months to come, changes will still be happening on the website, such as catering to persons who are or may be visually or hearing impaired. So those are still improvements which are to come. And there will be a media section also offering the end user the capacity or the capability to listen to the St. Martin Gov radio station, 107.9 FM, have access to our YouTube channel, as well as the photo albums and the soon-to-come St. Martin Gov TV station. So all in all, vast improvements in our ability to be able to communicate, as well as for the end users, the citizens, as well as visitors to be able to access information that they need regarding our services, our laws, etc. The last statement I'm going to make is that we are finally able to mention that we have appointed St. Martin's representative to the steering committee of the trust fund, Mr. Ronald Hallman, and he will be replacing our former representative, Mr. Gums, who recently retired after 5 years of dedicated services. So thank you to Mr. Hallman for taking this challenge. And I can also mention that we're in the final processes of the appointment of an acting or deputy governor. So the process is being finalized, and as soon as that is done, then we'll be able to share who that is as well. That is all for now, Rolika, and I look forward to any questions from the media that I can answer.
Okay, so you see, Minister Duran decided to. This is the thing what kills me with this government now. 1 minute, they say that they don't like to go into individual cases when it comes to civil cases and court cases. But the man is there, literally sitting there in front of the press, saying that the government win the court case against Julian Rolex and the other guy who sued us for breaking down his restaurant by the airport road last year. So the government wins. Government St. Martin wins. Like you celebrating the fact that you shut down a local. What? And then afterwards, you think that was enough? No, my boy sent out a press release with the names of the defendants and everything of how country St. Martin win against these two persons that illegally put up something at the airport road, and therefore they was wrong, and the judge gave the government right. Yay! I don't understand. Now, of course, there's always the truth, because then there's the minister's side and there's the truth. The case is still ongoing. It's not done yet. But of course, because Julian Rolex is going up for elections, he needed to boast about something in the press briefing and say, yes, I knocked it down and I was right. I don't get it. I don't understand the logic behind it, but that's how it is. That's how it goes. This is St. Martin. Anyway, the question and answer session is always my favorite part of the Council of Ministers press briefing, because that's where the ministers start to buckle and start to say things that they ain't supposed to say, but they're just guessing, so they're just saying the things they need to say. Take a look.
My first question to the Minister of Finance, Minister Irian. Minister, you mentioned Bearing Point and their injunction. I'd like to go a little further. I'd like to know, what is government position on the decision rendered? Are you appealing exactly? And what about the offer that Bearing Point has given government, where they will provide government with computers at a lower price? What is government position with companies that have taken government to court, have legal litigation, court litigations? Is there a blacklist for such companies? If so, is this across the board? Is there a legislation or policy in place for such? And my other question for you, Minister, as you're on it, most recently we have had the Kingdom Council, a motion was presented to give St. Martin more time with the repayment of its debts. That motion was not supported. What is the next step for the government? Is there going to be more cuts or severe cuts, taking into consideration, Minister, that there can be another hurricane, since we are in the hurricane season?
in regard to Barron Point, as I mentioned before, I'm not going to go into any detail. No, as a government, we don't have any blacklist. No, so we are now busy finalizing the refinancing discussions. St. Martin has sent our information, which by the Netherlands said, we have submitted a very good report on that. So we are busy now finalizing that process, taking in consideration still the whole ENIA situation.
Prime Minister, I would first like to ask a clarification about a question posed a few weeks ago about the well water. You replied that you had received information from the Ministry of Romy that once a year the well water is tested around hurricane season and that the public is informed about the quality. We verified this with the lab, and we were informed that the last time that government submitted samples of well water is 8 years ago. So I would like to ask when the public will be informed about the quality of the well water. And my question is for the Minister of Romy about the rules and regulation with regards to buildings. Seeing the situation in Beacon Hill, where there's a development of a 4-story building and a 6-story building planned, with the 4-story building having surpassed the building commencement for the building with 11 months. It's now 23 months since the permit was granted. And the other building, the Phoenicians, the question is if there is a building permit, because for both those buildings, pre-sale is being done and apartments are being sold that are not, there is no stone laid yet.
Let me first address my question.
Prime Minister
This is a
Jacobs.
question that the Minister of VSR will deal with, and I will pass this on to him. Because as was you mentioned Ministry of Romy, I got that information from the Ministry of VSR, and I will pass the question or have them follow up on answering that question. I don't have any up-to-date information, but we do have more than one lab on the island as well. So I understand you're doing your investigations, but I will allow the Ministry of VSR to respond as they were the ones that provided that information.
I'm going to answer the question to the best of my ability. First and foremost, the government is responsible for the issuance of building permits, specifically the Ministry of Romy. I cannot comment on someone having pre-sale. That's their business, basically. I cannot tell somebody what to post, what to publish, what to sell, because that is not in our line of work. However, what I can say, though, if someone is building without the proper permission, we have the authorization, the authority to enforce such. You're asking me why they're doing pre-sale. I think you're asking the wrong person that question, to be honest.
Asking about the surpassing of the time.
When respect to
If
surpassing of the time, I must say I've been here for 3.5 years now. We've issued several building permits, and 9 times out of 10, we have situations where persons don't have enough funds to start construction. Maybe they start a year after, and we're not that tight on that point. We're more tight on in the area of if there's a violation of the building permit. I must say, and you're saying all these numbers, I do not know the facts to justify what you're saying. To be honest, I don't have every building permit in my mind to say when it was issued and the date that it was published, because the date that is published is after the person pays for the building permit fee. So I can sign a building permit this afternoon, and then the department notifies them, let's say within whether tomorrow or within 3 weeks based on their workload. And after that, the individual or the entity has a time to come in and pay. And if they don't have enough money to pay at that time for the permit, then the permit, let's say if they pay for it in October, then it's published whether in November based on the next time that the Gazette publishes it. So then they have the time from then. So you're giving all kind of months, but I cannot verify that. And I'd rather not comment on that.
Prime Minister, with the fall of the Kingdom government and the announcement of elections to take place in November, is there any sitting decision or sitting pipeline decisions that will be affected or impacted by the fall? And if any, can you give us an idea as to what those are?
Thank you for that question. I know a lot of statements are being made in the media, and I would like to, sometimes when we have Kingdom discussions, whether it is tripartite or it's all four of us in the kingdom having discussions, and then you read things in the newspaper based on what one person says, it gives pause sometimes to understand if we maybe need to be a little stricter in ensuring we have an agreement on the minutes after those meetings before people go public. However, what I want to say is that when a government falls, and this is something that can happen to any of our governments, in this case, there will be an election in November, which can change the way in which the Netherlands chooses to function or is governed. So it can have an impact, but as it pertains to right now, we are continuing with the going concerns, and that is what we're doing. So as was mentioned by our Minister of Finance, we're having continued discussions on the loans. We are having discussions on whether it's the agreements within our reforms. Nothing has changed in that regard.
And it's regarding the bearing point issue. I just want to know, has any consideration been given, or will any consideration be given to the fact that Bearing Point wants to continue with the project? And when you had entered office, you said that ministers should be held liable for their actions. Sorry. Do you think that this applies to you in this situation? And my question is for either Prime Minister or Minister Duran. Last week, GB had an issue where they had encountered some issues and they were closed for 3 days, but we never got clarity as to what exactly those issues were. Can you indicate whether it's, was it a hack, was it a ransomware attack, what exactly was it, and was anything compromised? And Minister Duran last week, week before the last, you had said you had a tour. You were scheduled rather to have a tour of GB, and you would provide us with an update following that. Can you update us on those discussions and that tour? Thank you.
I think that the judge made it clear that our tender process can continue. So again, as a media, did you read the verdict?
Yes, my clarification.
So in the verdict states that we could continue the tender process. So that's pretty clear. So we have even allowed Bearing Point to continue in the tender process. So I think that that's pretty clear in the verdict. And regarding ministers being held liable, I think that was also pretty specific in that case. But I do believe that in any case, ministers should be held liable for any, at that point in time, criminal activities and so forth. But in your question, if it applies to me, be more specific. In what case would it be applied to me? Could be paid a divorce cut out? So in what case, what crime or integrity breach was or wrongdoing was done, that would be applied to me?
So I asked a question based on statements made by a member of parliament and in relation to the country being subjected to paying, having to pay this large sum of money as a result of a decision you took.
I think that we should look a little. So again, so the question wasn't from you. I guess it's from the MP, but then we have to go back and as MP. I mean MP. Ms. Shah mentioned in the past we should look at the history of the situation. So I think it came up in the past too already. We look at the history, and then we could then maybe really hold those persons accountable to why we're at this point today. And that I do agree with, which I also mentioned before you came in. I do believe, and I agree with the MP, that all persons should be held accountable for putting government in these type of positions.
We've received updates as the council from the temporary management as to what was done. The fail-safes that were put in place worked, and they were able to test the system over the weekend and put everything back online for regular work days on Monday past. We have, as a council, received the update in writing, but I've requested a meeting, and once we've had that meeting, we'll get more details. You're not going to have all the nitty-gritty details, but the company is taking the necessary steps to ensure that a proper investigation is done.
As we move on to the second round, again, I would like to reiterate, it is one clarification and one question per round. Bibi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Laika. My question for the Minister of Romy. Minister, I want to ask for a further update and, if possible, clarification on the issue of the court case that you spoke of in Simpson Bay. When was that verdict rendered, and can you share the verdict with us? My question is, can you tell us when, with the hard surfacing road project continue? When would they stop? When the other districts would come online? For example, LB Scott Road. And as we go into this, because it all relates to tendering and projects, recently SOAB have been involved in the evaluation of public tenders. Isn't this a conflict of interest with SOAB doing such, especially since they're the ones auditing government books?
With respect to the court verdict, this was rendered last week. And as I mentioned, it was more geared towards the enforcement and highlighting certain things to the public. Because you remember last year there was a whole big show on the internet and all over on every radio station with the Mr. Rolox campaigning that, Duran destroyed his livelihood, which in turn you check back, it has nothing to do with him directly, but the perception and the narrative was pushed out there. The reason why I chose this platform to bring it up is because the question was brought up here as well. I will inquire in terms of sharing of the verdict. And as the public can see, now he chose to postulate himself. So you can kind of see a trend where these things are going with certain individuals. And at the end of the day, I am pro-progress, pro-development, and pro-people making a livelihood. Because if our own people can't make a livelihood, then who can? That's just my principle. And I try to facilitate and help as much as we can. I reiterate to my staff all the time that at the end of the day, we are public servants. If you don't want to serve, then you shouldn't be here. With respect to when the other roads are going to be resurfaced, I have to look to my Minister of Finance to ask when I'll get some more funds, because that is the issue and why we stopped for now. The budget has been depleted with the year of 2022-2023 roadworks. The other tenders coming out, but again, it's just a budget of a measly 2 million guilders with the extensive work that needs to be done. It doesn't make the cut. Of course, you heard me mention several times about the capital expenditure budget that we are in anticipation of. This will assist with 5 million guilders for the general road works and 3.6 million guilders for this hard surfacing of side roads. So I'm just sitting, waiting with my fingers crossed for that to manifest so that we can continue with the works. At the end of the day, I know that there are several roads that require a lot of attention. My next point is to continue in several areas in Coal Bay, K-Bay area, as well as Madam Estate, and one or two other areas that are very critical, and those are the main focus points right now, once that money can come online. So it's a matter of waiting for funds to get those things, see those things come to fruition. With respect to your question to SOAB and it being a conflict of interest, I'll have to check with General Affairs, YEZ, to inquire if that is a conflict of interest. However, my thinking is that I don't think it can be a conflict of interest, but I'm not a legal mind, because the reason why we scackle in SOAB to begin with is because they are government's auditors. They advise us how to do things correct in advance. So I don't see how advising to do things correct in advance could turn into a conflict of interest. And I think we have to be careful how we use. I know that was the word of, I think, 2020 and 2021. So we need to really look how we measure and use the word conflict of interest.
Question for Minister Irion and the Prime Minister jointly. During the budget debate, it became clear that the travel budget for Parliament was drastically cut. And then it was announced that the amount was restored, and that came from ship registry. Minister Irion, could you tell how many ships have been registered under the St. Martin flags? And to the Prime Minister, what kind of ships are these? And how is St. Martin going to avoid ending up in a situation like Curacao, where the European government reprimanded Curacao several times for ships under their flag that did things in international waters that are not supposed to happen, and that would be the main purpose of reflagging ships to small island countries.
In regards to the budget, obviously I don't have the whole budget in my head and all the amendments. So when you have very specific questions like that, you can't expect the answer direct, in press briefing. But in regards to the travel posts and the ship registries, that would have to be, ship registries happen under the Ministry of TIAD. So I'll have to ask for an update on that. Every ministry is responsible for the aspects of the budget that they say that they will generate certain budgets. So we have to get confirmation from him. and see the progress on that.
Yes, as it relates to ships, foreign ships that are now or attempting to register under St. Martin's flag, I don't have an overview of that, and I will check with the Foreign Affairs Department if they have been updated by the Ministry of TEAT as it regards to that. A lot of times when the different ministries are functioning, you're not always aware of the impact on foreign relations that certain actions can have. And so we're busy also trying to ensure that all ministries are aware that when we're dealing with any foreign entity, for whatever reason, that the Department of Foreign Relations is involved to ensure that the proper processes are followed. So I will just follow up on that as well. Thank you.
I have a clarification for the Prime Minister, and my question is also directed at her. Prime Minister, the appointment of Mr. Hallman to replace Mr. Gums, can you give us an idea as to what procedure was used in appointing him? And my question to you is, the Kingdom Conference is to take place in Curacao. Do you know as to what the agenda point looks like?
As it relates to Mr. Hallman, we followed the same appointment procedure as we did with Mr. Gums. We sought a suitable candidate within the community, approached said person, and once he agreed, he was appointed by ministerial decree. I erroneously mentioned in a former press briefing that it was by national decree, but as per the previous manner, it is by ministerial decree. It is a stipend. It's not a full-time job.
I do have a clarification and a question. My clarification and question is for you, Prime Minister, and it's regarding your earlier previous press briefing comments regarding the whole Enya situation. Government had until mid-July to make a decision on a solution for Enya. What is the solution decided upon? And my question, I've noticed some ads running regarding plastic-free. I believe it's the SMDF. They're looking for legal and statistical consultants to do some research into that. Does this mean that the implementation on the ban that Parliament passed, does it mean that there's a delay now because that was supposed to go into effect as of August 1st in terms of banning the importation of plastic?
So as it relates to the ENIA, as Minister mentioned, and I think it was mentioned, we had gotten an extension to be able to finalize the process. We have finalized or sent in our report, and the discussion regarding ENIA is still ongoing between the three governments and the Central Bank of St. Martin and Curacao. As it relates to the plastic-free St. Martin campaign, that is from, let's call it the EU Resembid funding out of General Affairs. The awareness campaign will continue. As part of that campaign, the SMDF, as the executing body, is in looking for some technical assistance to move that process along. The collaboration between the necessary ministries of, I believe, Justice and TEAT needs to take place for the implementation part to start.
Question for the Minister of Justice. Minister, can you give us an update on the UNOPS prison project? And also tell us at what levels, what security level are we looking into, Minister? And also an update on the IND project that to regulate the undocumented, especially those that are employed by the same employer for 5 years and over.
Okay, pleasant good morning. Also 3 questions, Bibi. We actually had a meeting slated for today to discuss just that. So you are well informed, but the meeting hasn't taken place yet, so I don't have an update on that just yet. That's one.
Are they on point though? UNOPS?
UNOPS, oh yes. The process with UNOPS is going very, very well. As you just indicated, we're going to have a discussion about what security level is going to be established for St. Martin. That's a very intense discussion, I would say, and completed. And that comes from the reality of there are reactions, there are appointments being set, but the provision of the necessary documents in a timely manner continues to be a challenge.
Almost 2 years ago, you explained in this press briefing that the container cells from the prison would go to Turning Point and that the Minister of Finance would look into it if part of the 8 million for the Mental Health Foundation could be used for the installation of those container cells. What is the status?
So
today?
I can advise that the Ministry of Justice did its part. I signed granting those containers. However, Turning Point had its part to do, be it secure the lot, secure the transport. The aspect that is necessary for the recipient to execute is what's pending.
Has the money been allocated to them?
Which money is you speaking? I don't even know which monies you're referring to. I can answer you about the container cells, but
The money that the Minister of Finance at the time explained that would help Turning Point to do that process.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of.
Sorry, what did I say, Dan?
At the time, you and the Prime Minister said that you both would look into the financing of that process, and that maybe part of the 8 million that comes from the World Bank for the Mental Health Foundation would go to Turning Point to finance that process.
Okay, so I know for pretty much for sure I didn't mention that, but I just wanted to make sure on record to see what you were referring to. I know 2 years ago that what I stated was that we fought to try to get Turning Point as part of the whole mental health foundation through the trust fund money to be part of the whole project, where mental health was getting a new building and so forth. And when we went to the steering committee in The Hague at that time, we fought to get Turning Point as part of it, because we also thought that not just mental health, but also drug abuse and so forth should be part of this process in building the country going forward. And they have looked at it. I'm not too sure how far that process is, but I could follow up with Mr. VSA and the Trust Fund, NRPP, on that.
Your colleague, Mr. Fromme, spoke of a depleting financing for the road paving network. Can you tell us as to how soon do you intend to at least send the amended budget to Parliament?
Yeah, so in regards to what the minister mentioned, it was the amount that's on the budget. So it's I believe, 2.5 million. So that has been exhausted, but we've put the money on the capital expenditure, which has been approved by government, Parliament, I believe also the Kingdom Council of Ministers, and in September it goes to the Parliament in the Netherlands to be approved. Once that happens, we'll be able to continue the other road projects, which is about, I believe, close to 8 to 10 million.
Minister Irian, can you kindly give us an update on the status of the 2024 budget, the basic bank account law, and the process to introduce stickers for 2024? Are we definitely going to see that going into effect next year? Thank you so much.
So the first question was regarding the 2024 budget. Yes, the budget is currently still on schedule. The idea is to have it passed this year. The second question was regarding the
basic bank account
law. So I know we did our part. I went to Raad van Advies, to the Council of Advice. So I have to follow up to see where that is. It should be on its way to Parliament in the end of the third quarter, at least for sure. And the stickers, a project is being initiated now, I believe, with a potential campaign. So the initial project, I believe, is with all the government vehicles and so forth. I believe, I'm not too sure if you were also extended that invitation to be part of the initial project. So once we have that and get some feedback, I'll be able to better determine on the next steps. But so far, so good.
Okay, so now that you hear the question and answer, we continue. Of course, I needed to do a quick tour of these wonderful items here in adult toy box. 6.5. Nah, I think the ministers need a bigger one than that. Let me see.
Take a chip, take a chip, take a chip, take a chip now. Shake it, shake it. Young DJ Blaze, run and tell them I say we are the sound them selectors play. Every day, making you sway. And when the girl them tell it, and shadow dingole, DJ Blaze what you say. We are the sound of soca. Big bad soca. take a trip now.
At SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and an exciting new airport mall. Finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport. The experience will move you.
I am Rolando Bryson, Member of Parliament and leader of the United People's Party. On behalf of the Deputy Leader Omar Otley, the Board of the United People's Party, and our entire membership, it is my pleasure to invite you to the upcoming United People's Party Congress on August 13th at the Elise Convention Center in Madame Estate from 5 p.m. At this Congress, we will review the hard work and accomplishments of the United People's Party both in the Parliament and the government. We'll introduce you to our new logo, our new social media and website, and also to our new candidates and hear from our existing candidates about our plans for the upcoming parliamentary elections in 2024. We'll also have keynote speakers that will deliver the message of hard work and inclusion that the United People's Party stands for. Remember, we are your representatives, and this is your home, your party, your United People's Party. So we look forward to having you with us at the United People's Party Congress on August 13th at the Elise Convention Center in Madame Estate from 5 p.m., where we tell you how and why we're still going up.
When the ping pong say boom and the bass drum say boom, coming down the road with our smile. When we feeling the beat and the music so sweet, we walk 100.
Hello, St. Martin. My name is Julian Roland Jr.
Calling one and all to join us at our back-to-school event hosted by yours truly, URSM candidate Julian Rolox Jr. on July 30th, 2023 at the Belvedere Playground from 4 to 7 p.m. School supplies will be distributed for the less fortunate children. To register your child, WhatsApp 554-8078. All children 8 years and older will have a chance to enter the raffle for a laptop. Bouncers and popcorn will also be available. Julian Rolox Jr. would like to thank all sponsors that helped supported this cause.
Man, my data just ran out.
Here, you can use my phone.
Thank you. Come on, man. My data finished again.
Relax, honey. You can always use mine.
Wait, how come you always have so much data?
I told you I switched to Tele mobile postpaid plans. Those plans come with plenty of data, so I will never run out of data again.
Okay, well, why don't you come over here and show me more about these plans? Because I'm about to switch to Telem data now.
Also, one of the other products here at Adult Toy Box is if you're going out and you want some fun, you ladies just, and then the partner gets to control wherever you have the fun. So imagine sitting down in Parliament and somebody just like 4. That could be good. And of course, we can't forget the PFP. They have all for everybody. They have everybody's stuff here, like everybody's stuff. So it's gonna be nice. Hey, welcome to the late night. Okay, let's continue the show. All right. See. Oh, okay. No, That's no. That's for the private. That's yeah. All right. Of course. Oh, 14-inch of loveness. You know, adult toy box have all the sizes for all those out there who need it. All those who are a little bit tight. You know, those who are a little bit tight and feel like they're too mighty, tighty. Come to adult toy box and get lubricated. Get it? Because they have lubrication of any kind. You see? Lubrication products, different. I should become an advertiser. Look at these things, yes. All right? And, of course, this is one of my products, Dickalicious. Yes, because Andrew Dick, you know. So Dickalicious is one of the products here at what do you do with it? The kids are watching. The kids are watching. That's all I gotta say. But it's delicious. Because anyway, welcome to the late night show. We have a good one for you. Let's begin.
The timetable of Intercity Brussels has been altered.
25 minutes commercial free, Laser 101. Copy the DJ, Outcast in the mix. You already know it is Laser 101. Breaking news, y'all. Breaking news. This just reached our attention, and y'all are first to know. Carnival is officially canceled. I repeat, Carnival is officially canceled.
It's been so long that being chipped on due to our favorite song. Dear Prime Minister, please give us a fair. We promise to behave. Give us a cool fete. Give us parade. Give us a jubilate or bacchanal Sunday. This is the cry of the people of your country. Dear Prime Minister, please give us a fair. We promise to behave. Just give us one more jam. Let we have fun outside. And come next election, we putting you back inside. So if you give us a fair, we putting you back in. If you give us a faith, we putting you back in. So please give us a faith. We promise to behave.
Na 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 na. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, la 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 la. Yeah, yeah. Come on. Oh, what a wonderful feeling to be on the road. Be on the road, yeah. A woman like raindrops. And it blazing hot, yeah. In their costumes, they look like they're ready to go. The shoes done lace up and it's non-stop behind the truck. Non-stop. So show me the way to your heart. You and me will never depart. Once you're straight with me all the time and focus, let me follow the white line down the road. How we go wine, girl? Follow the white line down the road. You and your man, girl. Follow the white line down the road. How we go jam, girl? Follow the white line down the road, down the road. Follow the white line. I hope you're not playing no games or tricks on me. Tricks on me, yeah. You better come straight up. Don't cause no emergency. My heart is weak for you, but my love is strong. So let we wind up and let we love up all day long. So show me the way to your heart. You and me will never depart. Once you're straight with me all the time and focus, let we follow the white line down the road. How we go wine, girl? Follow the white line down the road. You and your man, girl. Follow the white line down the road. How we go jam, girl? Follow the white line down the road, down the road. Follow the white line. We don't need no disturbance. Hey, hey, when we jamming down the road, go and find yourself your own woman. You could watch, but don't touch. So just leave me, gal, alone. So show me the way to your heart. You and me will never depart. Once you're straight with me all the time and focus, let me follow the white line down the road. How we go wine, gal? Follow the white line down the road. You and your man, gal. Follow the white line down the road. How we go jam, gal? Follow the white line down the road, down the road. Follow the white line, line. How we go chipper, we go chipper, we go follow the white line. Hey, in the middle of the road, how we go follow the white line, line. How we go chipper, we go chipper, we go follow the white line, follow the white line. Start to wine, I said to wine, wine. I said to follow the white line. I said to move, girl. I said to follow the white line. I said to wine, wine. I said to follow the white line. I said to move, girl. I said to follow the white line. I said to wine, wine. I said to follow the white line. I said to move, girl. I said to follow the white line. I said to wine, wine. I said to follow the white line. I said to move, girl. I said to follow the white line. I said to wine, wine. I said to follow the white line.
That is it for the late night show. Of course, Adult Toy Box also have lingerie, different lingerie. If you see here, they have mannequins, and yeah, it's gonna be good. Of course, for those persons who need pills in order to rise to the occasion, because for the elections, I know you need to make sure that you're strong and prepared for the long nights ahead. Make sure you come down to Adult Toy Box. They don't give you a headache, I promise. Even though you don't know about that. But don't worry. Just come. Ask for Cindy or ask for my good friend Pat. Okay? Pat, I want this. I need this in my life. I need this in my... Oh, thank you for watching the late night show. Pete, you need one? You good? Okay, yeah, okay. Right. Okay. See you tomorrow. Late Night Summer Tour continues, and we are going all over. And clearly, We're going inside. Bye-bye.
Trying to get ahead, get out the way. Now move forward, stand back. Now break away, I'm about to bring it on. I ain't never backing down. Took a step into the flag. From a city, from a town. I do whatever it takes. I'ma go and get this round. I'ma go all of the round. I ain't never backing down. Took a step into the flag. From a city, from a town. I do whatever it takes. I'ma go and get this round. See the time, see the sights, see the sights, see the sights, yeah.
How are you?
Hi, darling. I'm fine. Just calling to say hi.
Oh, okay. We got over here.
Girl, I hear watching this movie and it.
But Mom, you finished all your minutes yet?
No, girl. Talem has new postpaid plans and automatically upgraded my postpaid package.
Is that so?
Guess what? I am getting more minutes and almost double the amount of data for the same price.
I guess I'm making a switch now.
Let me call you back, Mom.
Hey Tash, you hear about Telem new postpaid plans?
I still in shock, I can't understand.